me talk to the young kings in the room for a second. You had dreams, man. You had goals. You had a fire in your belly. You were waking up at 5 a.m. You were grinding. You were in the gym. You were in the books. You were building something brick by brick. You were focused. You were dangerous. You were walking in purpose. Then she came along. And I ain't saying she was a bad person. Don't twist my words. I'm not saying she was the villain. I'm saying you lost your identity trying to keep her. Let's be real. Somewhere along the way, you stopped chasing your calling to chase her attention. You stopped building your empire to build her comfort. You traded vision for validation. And that, my brother, is a dangerous trade. See, when you choose a girl over your career, especially when the timing ain't right, you don't just delay success, you betray your destiny. You're not here to chase approval, you're here to chase greatness. And sometimes that means walking alone for a season. Sometimes that means choosing purpose over pleasure. Sometimes that means saying no to what feels good so you can say yes to what lasts. Let me tell you something. A real woman, a queen, she won't make you choose between her and your grind. She'll respect the grind. She'll make you more focused, not less. She'll add fuel to the fire, not water. But what happens too often? You meet a girl and suddenly you got time to text all day, hang out all night, sleep in late. You're skipping workouts, missing deadlines, pushing dreams to the side. You traded your plan for a pillow and a pretty smile. And then what? You wake up one day broken, and bitter, and she's gone. She moved on to somebody who didn't drop the ball. And you mad? Don't be mad. Be accountable. You chose short-term feelings over long-term focus. You chose comfort over character. You chose her over your own growth. Let me hit you with the truth. A woman is not your plan. A relationship is not your strategy. Love is not a shortcut to legacy. You don't build the life of your dreams by sacrificing the dream for a moment of infatuation. You build it by locking in, head down, vision up, goals first. And if she's the right one, if she's really for you, she'll still be there, or she'll come when the time is right. But your career, your purpose, your calling, that window doesn't always stay open. Opportunities don't wait for you to get your heart together. They pass. And when they pass, they don't come back the same way. And some of you are so scared to lose her, you lose yourself in the process. You shrink to fit her expectations. You abandon your standards to keep her around. You get quiet about your dreams so you can be loud about your feelings. But let me tell you, a king who silences his purpose to please a queen ends up a servant in his own kingdom. You were meant to lead. You were meant to build. You were meant to become. And you can't do that if your energy, your time, your whole identity is wrapped up in her. You chasing love, but you're losing respect, not just from her, but from yourself. And listen, I'm not preaching against love. Love is powerful. Love can lift you up. But if it ain't rooted in purpose, it can pull you down. Some of you need to take a season to heal, a season to grow, a season to build you before you try to build with someone. Because right now, you don't have the discipline, the drive, or the direction, and she can't give you that. That's on you. So today, I'm calling you out and I'm calling you up. You got to choose your career. You got to choose your craft. You got to choose your character. That's the foundation. That's what you build everything else on. Because let me be real, one day, you're going to want to provide. You're going to want to protect. You're going to want to lead your household. But how can you lead when you never learned how to lead yourself? It starts now. It starts with locking in, not just on money, not just on business, on becoming the man you were born to be. Stop chasing her and start chasing you, the better version of you. The focused, disciplined, hungry version. Because when you become him, when you truly walk in purpose, the right woman, the right life, the right future, they all follow that. But if you chase her now and sacrifice that purpose, you'll wake up one day with regrets you can't rewind. So ask yourself today, what matters more? Feeling good for a moment or building a life you're proud of? Getting her attention or earning your own respect? Don't confuse motion with progress. Just because you're busy with her doesn't mean you're building a future. And don't you dare forget who you were before she came. Don't you dare water yourself down to be accepted. Don't you dare put your greatness on hold to play house when you were called to build an empire. This is your time, your season, your shot. Lock in. Because when you choose your purpose, when you choose your growth, when you choose your future over fleeting feelings, you win. And when you win, the right woman won't be the reason you lost yourself. She'll be the reward for becoming yourself. Purpose over pleasure, always. There comes a point in every man's life when he has to decide what matters more, what feels good in the moment or what moves him closer to who he's meant to become. Pleasure is easy, it's comfortable, it's right now. But purpose takes discipline. It takes sacrifice. It's not always exciting. It's not always popular, but it's the only thing that lasts. Too many of us chase pleasure because it's convenient. You meet someone who gives you butterflies, who makes you feel seen, and you start rearranging your entire life just to hold on to that feeling. You push the alarm clock forward. You start skipping the gym. You start blowing off your goals. You spend time scrolling, texting, calling, chasing moments of happiness, thinking it's love, but it's really a distraction. That's pleasure. That's the shortcut. That's the thing that feels good now, but costs you later. Purpose is the long game. It's the reason you wake up tired, but still go hard. It's the thing that pulls you out of bed when your body wants to rest. It's the quiet voice in your soul saying, keep going, we're not there yet. Purpose doesn't always give you dopamine. Sometimes it gives you silence. It gives you solitude. It gives you resistance. But it also gives you peace, confidence, legacy. And the truth is, those two, pleasure and purpose, don't live in the same neighborhood. When you're chasing one, you're ignoring the other. So every time you choose to spend hours caught up in a relationship that drains you, in a lifestyle that slows you down, in conversations that add no value, you're choosing pleasure over purpose. Every time you know what you need to do, but you do what you want to do, you're choosing pleasure. Purpose doesn't entertain you, it elevates you. Pleasure keeps you busy, but purpose keeps you moving forward. And here's the key. Pleasure is cheap. It's available to everyone. Anybody can chase a feeling. Anybody can fall in love with convenience. But purpose requires becoming someone different, someone focused, someone consistent, someone disciplined enough to say no to what's easy and yes to what's essential. See, people will come and go. Feelings will fade. Circumstances will change. But if you're walking in purpose, you'll never be lost. You'll always have direction. And people can feel that. People respect that. You want to attract someone real? Someone who respects you? Someone who supports you? You won't find them by chasing pleasure. You'll find them while chasing purpose. The problem is we want to be great, but we don't want to give up anything. We want success, but we don't want to sacrifice comfort. We want the crown, but we don't want the cross. And that's why so many never make it, because they keep choosing what feels good instead of what does good. Purpose is heavy, but it builds strength. Pleasure is light, but it weakens you over time. The strongest men, the most focused, the most respected, they didn't get there by accident. They made decisions. They walked away from the easy thing to stay committed to the right thing. They gave up distractions so they could build something real. Purpose doesn't compete for your attention. It waits. It watches. It tests you. And every time you choose to delay gratification, every time you say no to a temporary high so you can stay aligned with the long-term mission, you're becoming that version of you who can't be stopped. You're choosing the man you're becoming over the man you've been. Don't trade vision for validation. Vision is sacred. It's the picture of who you're meant to be, the life you call to build, the mission that keeps you awake at night. It's the blueprint you carry inside you, even when no one else can see it. It's what separates leaders from followers, creators from consumers, and kings from boys. But vision is fragile. It's vulnerable because it requires faith before results. It demands belief before applause. And when you're not grounded, you'll start to trade it for claps, for compliments, for temporary approval. Validation is tempting. It's loud. It's fast. It feels like progress. Someone tells you you're doing great. Someone likes your post. Someone calls you attractive, says they want to be with you. And little by little, you start shifting. You start tweaking your path to get more of that attention. You stop walking towards your vision and start dancing for someone else's validation. You don't say what you believe anymore. You say what they want to hear. You don't move how you used to. You move how they expect you to. And you call that love. You call that support. But it's just a slow drift away from who you were becoming. When you let someone else's opinion of you outweigh your own vision, you've already lost. You were climbing. You were focused. You had clarity. But the moment you started asking, do they like me? Instead of, am I aligned? You traded the future for the moment. That's what validation does. It feeds the ego and starves the soul. And here's the real danger. Validation doesn't just come from girls, friends, or social media. It comes from your need to be seen, your need to be praised, your fear of being alone. It comes from the part of you that wants to be celebrated more than you want to be challenged. That's where men get stuck, because vision will stretch you. Vision demands silence, isolation, rejection. It makes you do things people don't understand. And when you're not ready to stand in that discomfort, you'll chase the next compliment, the next relationship, the next fix that makes you feel like you matter. But validation is shallow. It doesn't last. It doesn't build anything. It gives you a high and then leaves you empty. That's why people addicted to validation are always adjusting, always searching for something they already had if they had just stayed on the path. Vision might be lonely, but it's real. It might not get applause now, but it will produce fruit later. It requires patience. It requires a backbone. It requires saying no when everyone wants you to say yes. And most of all, it requires choosing truth over attention. Because attention fades, looks fade, emotions fade. But purpose is permanent. You don't need the world to validate you when you've already been called to something greater. And the people who matter, the ones who are meant to walk with you, won't need you to perform. They'll support your vision. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll love you without needing you to shrink. When you start trading your vision piece by piece just to feel accepted, you'll eventually lose yourself. You'll wake up and realize the dream is gone, the fire is out, and all you have left are memories of who you were supposed to be. And for what? A relationship that wasn't real? A like that didn't matter? A feeling that didn't last? The right people will never ask you to compromise your purpose. The right partner will never need you to sacrifice your principles. You don't have to dim your light to make someone else comfortable. You want it to fit in. You are made to stand out, to lead, to rise, and to build something only you can see. A real queen respects the grind. She doesn't need to be entertained every second. She doesn't demand your time at the cost of your purpose. She understands that greatness requires isolation, consistency, and focus. A real queen doesn't compete with your vision, she aligns with it. She sees the early mornings, the late nights, the missed calls, the sacrifices, and instead of getting insecure, she gets inspired because she knows the grind isn't a threat to her. It's the foundation of the future she'll share with you. Too many men are out here trying to please someone who doesn't understand the path they're walking. You're trying to explain the mountain to someone who's never had to climb. You're apologizing for putting in work. You're watering down your goals to avoid conflict. But a real queen doesn't make you feel guilty for building. She respects the fact that you're building. She knows that time spent sharpening your skills, creating something valuable, chasing the dream, it's not time lost, it's time invested. A woman who respects the grind doesn't need to see you every moment to know she matters. She's not clock watching, guilt tripping, or making you choose between her and the mission. She knows the mission is what makes everything else possible. And if she's truly for you, she's not pulling you off track. She's pushing you forward. She challenges you not by nagging, but by staying consistent in her own growth. She inspires you to be better by being solid, not by being needy. You can't build an empire with someone who wants to play house. You can't chase purpose with someone who's obsessed with comfort. The grind is lonely, it's brutal, and it's not attractive to everyone. That's why the wrong woman will see it as a burden. She'll want more of your time, your energy, your focus. And slowly, without even realizing it, you'll start shifting. You'll start putting her emotional needs ahead of your destiny. You'll start skipping workouts, skipping deadlines, breaking promises to yourself, all in the name. But love that costs you your future isn't love. It's a distraction. A real queen isn't impressed by potential. She's inspired by progress. She's not just around when it's easy, she's there when it's hard. She understands that you can't always be present emotionally when you're present mentally in your grind. She knows that the late nights and long hours aren't you avoiding her, they're you preparing for her. And she carries herself in a way that makes you want to level up, not slow down. The wrong energy in your life will drain you. It'll make the grind feel heavier. It'll turn your mission into a battlefield. But the right woman, she becomes your peace in the storm, not the storm in your peace. She doesn't demand your spotlight. She helps you shine it brighter. She doesn't fear your ambition. She feeds it. She understands that the grind isn't just for you. It's for the both of you. And if it's really real, she'll be grinding too. Not necessarily on the same thing, but on something. Because a queen who respects the grind knows she's got her own legacy to build as well. You'll know it when it's right. You won't have to shrink to make her feel secure. You won't have to pause your hustle just to prove your love. She'll see the vision, she'll feel the mission, and she'll trust the process. Because she knows kings aren't built in comfort, they're built in the grind. And she won't just respect that. She'll honor it. Build yourself before you build with someone. You can't give what you don't have. You can't lead if you're still lost. You can't love someone right if you haven't learned to love yourself. With discipline, respect, and consistency. Before you even think about building a relationship, you've got to become the type of man who knows who he is, where he's going, and what he stands for. Most people skip that part. They jump into relationships hoping another person will complete them, fix them, or distract them from their own unfinished work. But the truth is, what you ignore in yourself will always show up later. And usually, it shows up in ways that cost you. The version of you that's meant to lead, to love, to protect, to provide, that version doesn't come from emotions or attraction. It comes from work. Inner work. Real work. It's forged through uncomfortable seasons. It's built in silence, not in the spotlight. If you can't sit with your own pain, control your own urges, manage your own money, or stay consistent with your own goals, then you're not ready to carry the weight of a relationship. Because relationships are not just about feelings, they're about structure. They require a foundation, and you are that foundation. Too many men get into relationships thinking they can figure it out along the way. But if you don't know your value, you'll let someone else define it. If you don't have a purpose, you'll live through theirs. If you don't know how to be alone, you'll settle just to avoid the silence. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be prepared. A relationship should never be a crutch, it should be a complement. And it only complements when both people are whole, focused, and grounded in who they are. When you haven't built yourself first, you attract out of weakness. You connect based on wounds, not vision. And when pressure hits, which it always does, you break. You argue over things that wouldn't bother a grounded man. You panic when she pulls away. You get jealous, insecure, controlling, or passive. Why? Because you haven't put in the work to be steady in who you are. You're reacting instead of leading. You're surviving instead of building. There is power in preparation. When you've built yourself, you're not afraid to say no. You're not desperate. You're not clinging to someone just because they showed you attention. You've built standards. You've built habits. You've built direction. And because of that, your presence brings peace. Your words carry weight. Your actions are intentional. You don't date just for fun. You build with purpose. Building yourself first means you faced your demons. You've healed what needed healing. You've disciplined the part of you that wanted shortcuts. You've sacrificed who you were for who you needed to become. And now you're bringing strength to the table. Not confusion. Leadership, not chaos. Structure, not desperation. You'll know you're ready when you no longer need someone, you choose them. You'll know you're ready when being alone feels better than being with someone who pulls you off track. You'll know you're ready when you're not moved by games, when peace is your standard, and when your future means more than a moment of emotional comfort. Most importantly, when you build yourself first, you protect the relationship from becoming a rescue mission. You don't need her to fill your gaps, fix your mood, or carry your insecurities. You're already full. You're already grounded. So when you finally find someone who aligns with you, you build together, not to fix each other, but to multiply the purpose already in motion. The right one won't cost you your calling. When it's real, it doesn't come with ultimatums. It doesn't ask you to give up the very thing that makes you who you are. Your calling is not just your job or your career, it's your purpose. It's the assignment on your life. It's the reason you wake up with fire in your chest, the reason you push when no one's watching, the reason you sacrifice comfort to become what you were born to be. And anything that forces you to trade that in is not love, it's control dressed in emotion. Too many people are in relationships that slowly pull them away from their identity. They're with someone who doesn't understand the vision, doesn't support the process, doesn't respect the mission. And over time, they start compromising piece by piece. They say yes to things they should have said no to. They skip workouts. They delay goals. They start hiding their ambition to make the other person feel secure. But the truth is, anything that costs you your calling is too expensive. The right person will not only allow you to grow, they won't see your grind as neglect. They'll see it as protection. They'll understand that building something meaningful takes time, effort, and intentionality. And they'll be patient with that. Not passive, not indifferent, but present, without becoming an obstacle. You shouldn't have to dim your light to keep someone else comfortable. The right one will see you shining and bring more fuel to the fire, not water. Calling requires clarity. And when you're with someone who's not aligned, everything becomes confusing. You start questioning yourself. You start wondering if you're selfish for chasing your goals. You start pulling back second guessing decisions, trying to balance someone else's insecurity with your divine assignment. And that's how purpose dies, slowly, under the weight of someone else's fear. The right one understands that love is not ownership, it's partnership. It's not about one person getting everything they want. It's about both people growing in a direction that elevates them. You don't have to choose between love and legacy. You don't have to give up your assignment to gain affection. In fact, real love makes your calling easier, not harder. It becomes wind in your sails, not weight on your back. If someone truly loves you, they won't make you pick between them and the thing you were born to do. They'll walk with you. They'll pray with you. They'll adjust when it's hard, not complain when it's inconvenient. Because they understand that the calling comes first, not because without it, you're not you. Without your calling, you're just existing. You're reacting to life instead of leading it, and no real love wants you to live beneath your design. That's how you know it's right. You stay focused. You stay growing. You stay hungry for more, not less. You're not looking back with regret, wondering what could have happened if you just stayed the course. You're walking with someone who respects the process, even when it doesn't benefit them directly. They're in it not just for the outcome, but for the journey. There's a difference between compromise and surrender. Compromise is healthy. It's about learning to move together. But surrendering your purpose to keep a person, that's betrayal. Not betrayal of them, betrayal of yourself. The right one won't need that from you. They'll love you in your calling, not in spite of it. They'll speak life into your vision, not drain it with their insecurity. They'll remind you of who you are when you forget. They'll celebrate you, not just when you win, but when you're in the trenches building. You aren't created to live small, to shrink for acceptance, or to abandon your purpose just to feel loved. The right one will never require that. They'll walk with you, not in front of you or behind you, but beside you, honoring your calling as part of your identity, not a problem to be fixed or a distraction to be removed.